Kanye West has been making music for over 20 years, and the consensus around his body of work is that he has one of the best discographies of all time. He also happens to be my favorite artist of all time, so I've had plenty of time to digest his albums over the years, and today I'm going to rank every single Kanye album, from the College Dropout all the way to Vultures 2, and along the way, I'm going to give you the best, worst, most overrated, and most underrated song on each album. So without further ado, here's every single Kanye album ranked. It really pains me to put Vultures 2 in last, but as of the making of this video, this project is just incomplete. Despite the fact that I enjoy the project maybe more than some of Kanye's other albums, I can't in good conscience put this album over any other project when it has mumbled, unfinished verses and uses artificial intelligence. It's just unacceptable. Like I said, I do enjoy this album a lot, and if Kanye decides to put the finishing touches on it, I may have to revisit this placement, but for now, it's dead last. The best song on Vultures 2 is easily River, with Young Thug's verse combined with the production we get. It's just a fantastic song all around, and it's the best on Vultures 2. Husband is definitely the worst song on Vultures 2. It's an absolute snooze fest, and it's actually in contention, in my opinion, for the worst song in Kanye's entire discography. It's definitely bottom 3. Before I get into the first overrated song in this video, I have to preface by saying just because a song is overrated does not mean it's a bad song. It just means, in my opinion, that it may just be a little bit more overrated than some of the other songs on the project, or it's a bit more popular than some better songs on an album. It does not mean by any standpoint that a song is bad. And with that said, the most overrated song on Vultures 2 is Fried. The snippets that we heard when this project was getting rolled out, I really liked this song, but might have been a little bit of snippet syndrome, I don't know. I don't think this is a bad song by any means. I just think I'm not a huge fan of the delivery, but it's definitely an overrated song for me. The most underrated song for me is Forever. Originally titled Maybe, Forever has some fantastic production, an infectious tie hook, and a great verse from Kanye. It has some speculation around it that it could be artificial intelligence, but I haven't personally noticed. Just an all-around underlooked song. For me, Jesus is King is a frustrating album to listen to at times because it seems like a story of what could have been. Obviously, most Kanye fans have their gripes with this album because it evolved from Yandi, a futuristic sounding project that was scrapped and eventually morphed into Jesus is King, but there are a lot of highs on this album, but the lows drag it into the depths for me. I feel like this album would have been a lot better if instead of telling us he loves God, Kanye told us why he loves God and his journey with God. The best song on this album is Follow God. Great beat, great flows, just a banger, nothing else needed. The worst song on this album is Water. It starts out as a great song with wavy production and amazing vocals from Ant Clemens, but the second half just evolves into Kanye saying Jesus over and over again, like Jesus, Jesus, It really brings down the song. It really adds nothing to the song. And originally, I thought that this was the worst song in Kanye's discography, but I'm not sure yet, but it really brings down the entire song for me, just not good. The most overrated track on this project is Closed on Sunday. It has a great music video, I'll give it that, but the subject matter and delivery of the actual track is just not all that great in my opinion. Not a bad song, but not great either. The most underrated track on this project is Every Hour. The Sunday Service Choir did its job here and more. Just give it a listen. Nothing else to say. Just give it a listen. I want to preface this ranking by saying Vultures 1 is not a bad album by any means, and the reason it's so low is because, like I mentioned, this man has one of the greatest discographies in all of hip-hop, so it's tough fighting for a spot on this list. I enjoy this album a lot, but it simply does not compete with the rest of his discography. The lows of this album really hold it back. The best song on this album is Burn. Short and sweet, Burn is one of the best songs from the Vultures era that showcases yet another great hook from Ty, and a verse from Kanye that feels like something out of Late Registration. A great song. The worst track on this project is easily, in my opinion, Paperwork. Some people might say Hood Rat, but I don't vibe with Paperwork at all. I'm not a huge fan of the Brazilian funk on this song. You might be, I am not. This is the worst song from Vultures 1. The most overrated track on this project is Fuck Some. This is definitely going to be an unpopular take, and I don't think this is a bad song by any means, but as one of the most popular songs from Vultures 1, this track really grew off me after release. I'm just not a big fan of the song, and the album that Chipmunk feature was not necessary. Not a bad song, just overrated in my opinion. The most underrated song is Do It. This track does not get nearly enough recognition. Everyone did their part, and this is the song that deserved to blow up from Vultures 1. It's the West Coast banger that we deserved. Donda would be much higher on this list if the project was not filled with so much bloat. There's so many part 2s and just unnecessary songs, and if we're talking about the deluxe, then there's even more bloat. But overall, this is an incredible project that dives into multiple themes and serves as a meaningful tribute to Donda West. I think this is Kanye's most underrated album, and I wouldn't bat an eye at you if you put it higher than 11. The best song is Believe What I Say. I'm a sucker for good soul samples, and Kanye's use of Lauryn Hill's vocals are infectious, and this song is just good all around. It's also very safe to put on the aux. The worst song is quite easily Tell Division. This might be Kanye's worst song ever. It's not really even a song. I know it's supposed to be a tribute to Pop Smoke, but it's a half-baked tribute. It is an instant skip every time I revisit this project. I put the most overrated song on this project as Hurricane, and it's not a bad song by any means. This is actually a really good song, but just compared to the rest of what we got on Donda, the top tier songs on this project, Hurricane just isn't up there for me. This is a good song. It's actually a great song, but just in my opinion doesn't compete with the top tier on Donda.
It makes it easier.
If you told someone 15 years ago that Kanye West and Jay-Z were making a collab album together, they would probably think they were in for one of the greatest projects of all time. But that is far from the reality with Watch the Throne. Not a bad body of work by any means. Watch the Throne just has too many songs on it, and it doesn't compare to the rest of Kanye and Jay's discographies. The best song on this project is Otis, a fantastic sample flip of Try a Little Tenderness from Otis Redding. Otis was the expectation for a Kanye and Jay-Z collab. A fantastic song all around, and a classic in both their discographies. The worst song on this project for me is Lift Off. I mean, Beyonce did her thing here, but besides that, there's not really much going on here. I know there's some pretty bad songs on the deluxe, but this track never really hit for me, and that's why I placed it as the worst on Watch the Throne. I'm not gonna lie, I don't really have an overrated song for Watch the Throne. The most popular songs in this project deserve their popularity, and there's not a single track that speaks out to me as overrated, so I put none for this category for Watch the Throne. The most underrated song is Primetime. This might be a hot take because I know people don't really like this song, but I love the way Hov and Ye brag about their primes, and I'm a huge fan of the production. It just doesn't get talked about enough. Ye is one of my most listened to Kanye albums of all time. Short and sweet, this 24-minute long project delves into themes surrounding mental health and building back what was torn down. There are no bad songs on this project either. If anyone in the comments says otherwise, I'm just not going to agree with you. Every single song deserved to be on this album. The best song on this project for me is Ghost Town, just a top tier Kanye song. The worst song on this project is All Mine. I don't think this is a bad track, it just happens to be the worst out of 7 songs. I still enjoy it a lot. The most overrated song is also All Mine, and the reason is due to the fact that this is the 3rd most streamed track on Ye, while there are 4 other songs that deserve more recognition in my opinion. The most underrated song is No Mistakes. Charlie Wilson delivered some amazing vocals, and this song has some of the deepest subject matter on the entire project. Delving into his financial issues and mental health problems, No Mistakes serves as a window into what Kanye was going through during this time period. His greatest collab album so far, Kids See Ghosts shows us why Kanye and Cudi have such great chemistry together, and the 7-track format Kanye was going with during 2018 really helped solidify the near-flawless record. The best song on this project is Fourth Dimension, another fantastic sample flip here by Ye. Fourth Dimension has great showings from both Kanye and Cudi that make this track easy to love. The worst song on this project is Feel the Love, a good chorus from Cudi, great verse from Pusha T, and not much else. Kanye is just in the background during this song, and I just wish he had more of a presence on this track. I don't really think there are any overrated songs on this project, so once again, I've put none for this category. The most underrated track is Cudi Montage. It doesn't get talked about enough, and in my opinion, it's one of the best off Kids See Ghosts. This is where my list might get a bit controversial, but these 7 albums are at the top of Kanye's artistic works in my opinion. And 808s serves as an open door into Kanye's immense struggles at the time, with the forefront of those being his mother's death. Kanye also served as a trendsetter with his use of autotune, and he just gave us some great music here. The best song here is Streetlights, one of my favorite Kanye tracks of all time. Streetlights is catchy, it's meaningful, and you just know you're listening to an all-time great record. The worst song on this project is See You in My Nightmares. I actually don't mind the song too much, but when comparing it to the rest of 808s, it's easily the worst. Kanye and Lil Wayne don't have the best track record together, but I think they made up for it this year with Lifestyle off Vultures 2, one of my favorite songs off that project, but they definitely had a miss here with See You in My Nightmares. This is the 3rd time I've done this, but I don't think there's really an overrated track on 808s and Heartbreak, so again, I'm gonna have to put none for this category. The most underrated song on this project for me is Paranoid. It's one of my favorite songs on this project, and it always gets me in a good mood. This is just such a catchy song, and it's so good. It needs to be put out there more. This is a fantastic song, and you, yes you, out there right now, go listen to this song right now. A drastically different sounding project from the rest of his work, Yeezus served as a fuck you to the industry from Kanye. I enjoy the loud energy this project serves, and it's wild to think about how the public perception around this album has changed over the past decade. The best song on this album is On Sight, the worst song is Send It Up, the most overrated is Bound To, and by far, the most underrated is Guilt Trip. This song does not nearly get talked about enough. This is actually, in my opinion, one of the best songs on Yeezus and just does not get the recognition that it deserves. The Life of Pablo is one of Kanye's most popular albums to date, and I also believe it's one of the best. Set on a theme of which side of Yeezy will prevail, Pablo dives into themes of family, friends, and getting bleach on your t-shirt. There's a little bit of everything here. Deep cuts, club bangers, and some of the best rapping in Kanye's entire catalog. The best song on this album is No More Parties in LA. It's a shame we've only gotten one Kendrick and Kanye collaboration, but I'm glad it's this one. Filled with energetic verses from 2 of hip-hop's finest, No More Parties in LA sees the 2 MCs complain about their first world problems over a fire Madlib beat that gets me excited every time I play it. The worst track on this project is Feedback. This wasn't that hard of a choice, I'm sorry, but this track isn't really all that good to me. The most overrated song is Part 2. It's not bad by any means, but it's just a remix of Panda by Designer. There's really not much going on here. And the most underrated song is Highlights. This song just simply does not get talked about enough. This is a fantastic track. Before I get into this, I've seen way too much hate online about this album. This is a top tier Kanye album, and I refuse to take any late registration disrespect. With that said, this project has some of Kanye's best verses along with great storytelling that helps to really solidify the second entry into the Dropout trilogy. If you're looking for that old Ye magic or you just missed the old Kanye, this is the album for you. The best song on this album is We Major. This is definitely a little bit of bias for me. I mean, this is my list, so I don't really care. This song has 2 of my favorite artists of all time, 6 minutes long, beat switches, fire verses. It's just the perfect combination of a song for me, and is my favorite off Late Registration. The worst song is Gold Digger, and the most overrated song on this project is also Gold Digger. It's not a bad song by any means, but it's one of the most popular songs, not just on Late Registration, but in Kanye's entire catalog. It blew up when it first came out. If you ask your mom and dad right now, they know a Kanye West song. Guarantee they're only going to say Gold Digger. It's just kind of a song for the radio. That's basically it. The most underrated song on this project is My Way Home, a leftover from Common's 2005 album B. My Way Home only sees vocals from Common. However, the amazing production along with the great verses makes for a very pleasant track that gets underrated in Kanye's discography, likely because he has no lines on it. I mean, what else can be said about this album that hasn't already been said? As a song that took 5,000 hours to make, Kanye's comeback album. I mean, I can play that one piano note from that one song and everyone knows what song it's from. An iconic project that will be talked about 100 years from now. The best songs on this project are Gorgeous and Devil in a New Dress. This is the only album where I chose two of the best songs because I just couldn't decide between these two. These are some of the best songs, not only Kanye's discography, but some of the top tier songs you'll find in hip hop. I mean, Devil in a Dress is so iconic that Rick Ross made his own music video for just his verse. That is unheard of. The worst song on this album is Who Will Survive in America. I mean, let's be real here. Let's be real. Who is listening to this? Like, who is actually listening to this? Not me. The most overrated track on this project is Dark Fantasy. Now, before you come at me with the pitchforks, I think the verses on this song are fantastic. It's just that chorus gets played so much, it kind of devalues the song for me, so I think it's a little bit overrated. The most underrated track on this project by far is Hell of Life. This is not a bad song at all, and I will continue to defend this song. An absolute banger. The first project in a legendary discography, The College Dropout, shows a hungry Kanye trying to prove to the industry that he deserves a spot, and I will always have a special place in my heart for this album. This was a tough one, but the best song on this project is Spaceship. The worst song on this project is Breathe In, Breathe Out, just kind of a generic song all around. This is just not on par with the rest of the project. There are no overrated songs on this project in my opinion, and the most underrated song on this album is Family Business. This is probably my favorite album of all time. We all know he made Graduation. We've been saying it for years now. He made Graduation. He made Graduation. He made Graduation. Filled with some of his most iconic songs, spewing with synths and fantastic instrumentals, Graduation serves as the final album in the Dropout trilogy. And it delivered. We all know it delivered. It has over 6 billion streams on Spotify. It sold over 950,000 units first week. We all know the popularity of this album, but there is a good reason why it's so popular. The best song on this album is Homecoming. The worst track is Drunken Hot Girls. This and Barry Bonds were sort of in contention, but at least Kanye has a good verse on Barry Bond. Lil Wayne kind of came in and ruined it. Fun fact, I thought Lil Wayne was trash for the longest time because this was the first time I'd ever heard Lil Wayne. An absolutely horrible introduction, and I'm glad that I sort of went into his catalog a little bit and realized this is probably one of his worst verses ever. But Drunken Hot Girls takes the cake. It's not a bad song instrumentally or even lyrically, I guess, as long as you don't take the subject matter seriously. That kind of sounds bad, but if the subject matter was different, this would actually be a good song in my opinion. Most Def did his thing here. It's just I can't take this song seriously because I don't want to. I'm not a fan of the subject matter. I put the most overrated song on this project as Can't Tell Me Nothing, simply for the fact that I believe there are better songs on this album that deserve the popularity that Can't Tell Me Nothing has. Because if you play a Kanye song, or when Kanye gets on and performs, the rare instances where he does perform nowadays, he's going to put on Can't Tell Me Nothing. It's an anthem. But I believe there are better songs on this project that deserve that anthem status Can't Tell Me Nothing has. I love this song though. And the most underrated track on this project is The Glory. I know that was quite a lot, but thank you for sticking around this far into the video. I know I've been gone for a little bit, but I'm back and I intend on staying. If you want to keep up with me, you can follow me on Twitter. The link is in the description. Leave a comment if you like. I'm sure I'll respond, and I appreciate any support of any kind. It means a lot. Thank you all so much, and I'll see you on the flip side.
Because people have got to know whether or not their president is a crook. Well, I'm not a crook.
Motherfucking boss.